I have started recording.
Okay. What was that?
That was a chicken.
Who's got chicken?
Oh, sorry.
I thought that was you, Justin, putting in the sound effect for the beginning of the meeting as a rooster crowing.
No, apparently Nick is walking around outside on his farm.
Yeah, it's, as long as the guinea hens don't follow me.
All right. Okay. So we'll just work over that, right? We're from Douglas. We're used to roosters crowing at the break of noon. All right. So we have a quorum. The minutes from February 25th were sent out. Hopefully everyone has had a chance to read them and let us know if there are any questions, corrections, anything like that. Hearing none.
I have a question.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Wait. Ellie has a question. When I was typing them up, I don't know if we ever did vote on the presenting the budget or the budget needs for the electrical repairs to the FinCom for an emergency funding.
Okay. I thought we had.
Does anybody else? I didn't look back I didn't look back at the video to see if that was the case. I could do that, but.
So it's in this agenda too, so we can.
Okay.
We could just address it this time.
Okay, and I'm sorry. What was that again?
Okay.
The
electrical systems.
Oh, electrical. Okay, so we can address that.
But I didn't even have a quote at the last meeting, so I think that I'm not sure we had any vote so much as it was just sort of discussed and agreed that we should move forward.
Right, because you were trying to get more information, and I think we were trying to push for emergency help. So, can we move that to later in this meeting where you do talk about the electrical and that? So, can we move it to there?
Well, if
you can move it wherever you want.
Are correct. We did not vote on it then.
I don't think so.
But we didn't vote because we didn't have a quorum. So somebody can move to accept the minutes as written.
Okay. So we'll entertain that motion? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Second?
Second.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All right.
Any dissent? Hearing none, the minutes were approved unanimously. Moving on to the financial report.
There's not a whole lot of movement to report. It's just kind of ticking along as usual. Only now, we're not spending a lot because we're not really open. I've augmented what we've been spending on ebooks, but not to a large degree. But the only thing really to report is that the second half of our library incentive and municipal equalization grant dispersal is incoming.
Right.
They didn't send a mail out this time about it. It's just going straight into our account. I have Jean looking out for it. So she will let me know as soon as it's deposited, and it'll be $6,028.55.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't included that in the account statuses as of March 30th because we don't have it yet. It's just on the way.
Right.
But once it does hit our account, then our library incentive grant will be, shooting up to well past $22,000.
Yeah. You mentioned that it was higher. Is there a reason for that?
It's just the way that the state budget and stuff works. They don't
Okay.
ever have a good idea what the total amount's going to be. So that's why they give you
Right.
kind of a rough guesstimate of what half of it will be in in December, or
Mhm.
yeah, and then the remainder, whatever it ends up, being, they distribute now.
Right. Right. Okay. That's good. I have a question on expenditures, and it's up in the talking about the personnel. Is that line still going to be spent down all the way?
Yes,
Okay. All right.
the that is a bylaw apparently for Douglas, is that if it's an involuntary building closure,
Okay.
then your staff still gets paid. I mean, it's
Right.
not their fault they can't report for work.
Absolutely. Okay. All right. Perfect. All right. Do other people have comments or questions on the financial report? Hearing none, we'll move on to expenses, okay? Um, I think it's all pretty self-explanatory, really.
Yeah, the expenses are just part of the
Right.
they're part of the finance report.
Right. Okay. All right. So if everybody's all set with that, are we good with that? We can move on to the director's report, which I have to say is the circulation is really good. It's up.
Yeah, that
on
was
just
for
about-
February. In February we had really good circulation numbers.
And you know what? I wonder what the weather was. The weather bad last February? Because the
Yes.
weather's been so nice. I think people
Last
were getting
year
snow.
February was terrible and we were closed a lot.
Okay. All right.
But yeah, so there's February circulation numbers you can look at. They were good. It was a good month. We were.
Absolutely.
Our door count was 3,255, and we hosted 26 programs with a total attendance of 275.
That's good. That's good. So it
Does
averages
anybody
out.
want
Averages
to?
out to over 10 people per group.
Mm-hmm.
I know that some groups are much bigger, like the story times and things like that.
Yeah, some groups are bigger, and some programs are literally just a one-on-one person. So like well, not one, but like the reading the hero. It's
Right. But that's
4 different students come in, or kids, on a rotating schedule, and then they have one-on-one interaction with the dog.
right. And that's, I mean, that's more, I know it's a program, but it's almost like a service that's being provided for children, who might be struggling with reading.
Mm-hmm.
And they're more open to reading to an animal to get over their fear of it or whatever. So
That's pretty
I think
cool.
that's,
When we reopen, Nick, you should give us a chicken that we can come read your
Yeah,
chicken.
sure.
My next door neighbor runs a program out of Tufts, which is Paws, and she goes everywhere. She had started reading programs in libraries and schools and things like that. And her dog Boo is like, she's the diva, she's the superstar. She does things like that. It's awesome. They have a miniature horse as one of their I forget what they call them, not reading specialists, but whatever they call them, pals or something like that. They have a miniature horse that goes around to programs.
That's cool.
Yeah. They have to go through training though, and they have to go through it to show if they're acclimated to having kids around. You know, but
Yeah, I can
anyhow,
imagine. It could be dangerous.
yeah. So if you have a well-behaved chicken, or perhaps a guinea hen.
Yeah, guinea hen. That would be real fun. Guinea hens will read to the children.
Okay, all right, let's move on here. Moving on to, let's get more serious for just a second on the COVID-19 pandemic operations. And I think we've all been staying on top of that. I think, Justin, you've done an outstanding job of being there but keeping your staff safe, trying to keep patrons safe, and stay open as long as you can. I think you did a great job, and you're doing a great job.
Yep. Should I do just like a summary of this for the sake of the recording? Since does everyone have the director's report that I sent out via email?
I have it. Yep.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's a brief timeline there as to how the situation unfolded, and it was extremely it continues to be extremely chaotic how we're responding to this, because there's been very little guidance for libraries specifically from the top down. And, just the library infrastructure, the way it works in Massachusetts, like the way that we responded was kind of dependent on what the Massachusetts library system did and what other libraries in the network did and what CW Mars did. So, I mean, whenever you take into account the MBLC, the MLS, CW Mars, us, I mean, there's like 4 different parts that all kind of had to get in synchronicity with each other, and that took a while. And I was trying to be proactive, starting on March 13th, whenever I kind of barricaded the front door and moved all circulation there, so that we could manage all incoming and outgoing materials to try to prevent infection spread. But, at that point, Massachusetts library system wasn't planning on slowing down delivery. None of the other libraries were discussing anything. They were all talking about social distancing, but it hadn't affected policy yet. And, unfortunately, whenever you're one of the first people to try to start altering procedures, you have to alter them over and over and over again as the situation changes. So we tried that. It lasted for 2 days before we had to close the library, and I looked into I was in the process of looking into book delivery and doing curbside pickup and those kinds of things. But then Massachusetts library system came out with a statement dissuading that, because a lot of the other library directors everyone's kind of emailing each other back and forth asking, well, is this a good idea or is that a good idea? And, finally, word comes down from someone like the Massachusetts Library System or the IMLS that, no, it's not, and everyone should stop. So, at this point, we're not circulating anything. And then, we went through a short phase where staff was reporting, and I had them all coming into the library except for the pages, because, I mean, the pages are kids. And if we're not circulating anything, they don't have anything to do. And one of my library assistants is immunocompromised, so I obviously told her to stay at home. But, Gail and Deb and my other library assistant, they kind of just wanted to be here. So, Gail started painting the bathroom, and Deb was sorting out things downstairs, and we deep cleaned a whole bunch of stuff. But then, after the governor's order came on, what was that? That was March.
Oh, I know, it's all a blur.
24th.
24th, yeah, that's all a week ago.
Yeah. The governor announced that all non-essential staff were, not to report. So at that point, it was out of my hands. They're home. And that's now been extended. It was until April 7th. Now it's until May 4th. So, I mean, they're not going to be back here unless they are given an essential task until May 4th.
Mm-hmm.
I elected not to give them work to do from home. I gave them projects that they can work on electively. But I mean, it's busy work. It's like transcribing things out of the archives. It's reading up on, best practices and this and that and the other. And like if they can find other ways to of value to the community.
I think Deb is able to do. I'm sorry. I think Deb is able to do a lot of planning for her programming and the summer reading program too.
Well, Deb is so far ahead of all that. I mean, her planning for summer reading is basically done. Now it's a matter of unplanning because we don't know what's going to happen in regards to all these performers and everything that we have lined up and programs.
Yeah, we're going to be looking at that with the cultural council too. Although most of our things happen in the summer, we've only had one. Well, now it will be two programs from the senior center that we were funding that aren't going to happen or hasn't happened.
Yeah, unfortunately, Gail and Deb, they're both, my 33-hour-a-week employees, don't have very good computer setups at home, so they're very limited in what they can do. All of my tech-savvy people are either, like the really part-timers or pages. And I do have my pages cranking along on a project because I was basically told, they need something to do by their parents.
Well,
and so it's like, okay, we'll do this. So like right now, everybody is guaranteed their pay. I've taken Saturdays out, but basically, every pay period, the full-timers have 33 hours they'll get paid for. The two part-timers have 16, and then the pages have 8. And they can work, and I've asked them to record what they're working on if they are. And then whatever they don't work, I'm just going to make up the difference, and they'll get paid, but it's going to be classified a little bit differently because there's a possibility that there will be some sort of incentive for the town once this blows over for people who were, paid time off due to the crisis. So basically they're getting COVID-19 time, which might be reimbursed to the town by the state later. I don't know. But Gene just wants me to track it separately from the work that they're actually doing. But I didn't just give them a whole bunch of busy work and say you have to do this and work X amount of hours a week because
No, I understand.
It didn't seem fair since not everyone's capable of doing it, and there's just better things they can be doing right now to help the community. I mean, they have families and things, and likelihood is that they'll probably end up back before the pandemic is over. Because right now I'm doing work with the Emergency Operations Center. They basically completely reorganized the municipal government. Like the old administrative hierarchy is been superseded by the Emergency Operations Center. That's the town administration now. So technically now I report to Patrice, and she reports to Kent Vincent, the fire chief.
Okay. All right.
And the library staff is available for reassignment wherever they're needed. So like this past week, I've been working on emergency meal delivery planning for the elderly and quarantined, working out with all the different vendors who traditionally provide food to the schools for cafeterias, trying to sort of alter that into where they're providing, food for a different service.
Yeah, I was wondering about that, if that was, because that's such a needed program.
And
the Meals on Wheels, is that what you're talking about?
I'm sorry?
Are you talking about the Meals on Wheels program?
Well, it won't be Meals on Wheels. I mean, depending on how bad this gets and, how many people end up in quarantine, I mean, you're just going to literally have tons of people who need delivery. So, I mean, it'll be the same kind of thing, but it won't be Meals on Wheels. It'll be like an emergency response, whatever they call it. I don't know if it has a name yet. We're kind of making this all up as we go along.
So would it be like pre-made meals, or are you talking about providing them?
Staples, like refrigerator staples that you're trying to get out to
All right,
people.
that makes
Bread,
more
milk, eggs, peanut butter, cereal.
Yeah, that makes much more sense. Yeah.
And so I've been working to help source that, so that it's actually available to distribute.
Right.
And once we need to start contacting people and sending out a lot of calls, the library is a phone line. The senior center has one. The municipal center has a limited amount, so the library will probably become a locus for outgoing calls. And Matt said that probably starting between April 7th and 17th, there's going to be plenty work. So it's probably good to keep the staff at home now, and prepare to call them back to work with emergency operations when the situation starts to spike.
Right. And then I'm just wondering what happened to the bug that was crawling in the crock pot.
He's still in there. He's looking at me.
Okay.
Can't get out. We did have a patron donate a empty Mike's Hard Lemonade bottle.
I saw that.
Caught it on a security camera, posted it on Facebook to offer them a nice public thank you. There'll probably be some pictures to come of bouquets.
All right.
But yeah, I have also been keeping track of the overdrive and holds there. I've done one tutorial on how to use overdrive in Libby to get access to other library systems. I want to do more tutorials on how to do online things. It'll probably be wise to up the canopy limit that people are allowed to check out. Right now I think they're limited to 5 videos a month, but now it might be wise to increase that.
Right, at this time, yeah.
And a lot of it's just also been just kind of keeping track of what's going on with the other directors. We've worked with CW Mars to get them to basically exhaust the expendable funds they have to augment electronic collections to reduce hold times, and they've been amenable to that. They've opened up some cost per circ licenses, like which I use in Advantage. They've added more magazines. And then they added a way that you can apply for an electronic library card just by going and signing in with your phone number. And if it's a phone number whose area code falls within CW Mars's radius, then you can just get access. But I've tried to encourage people not to do that, because that'll get you access to the consortial collections, but not your Advantage collections purchased by your individual library. So, I mean, it really was better if you have a Douglas library card to log in than to try to use that. And I also got the Coppola estate to release rights to They Raced Horses on Main Street. It's now on the website, and as time permits, I've been reading it. To make videos for cable, YouTube, and for our Facebook.
Nice.
But other than that, it's really quiet here.
As it is in many places right now. Hopefully we won't be too long with this. All right. We're all set with that. Moving on to old business and under building projects. And the building subcommittee is still alive. Any words from the subcommittee?
How you doing, Kate?
Still alive.
Just making sure you're still there.
Love it.
All right. And then getting into the electrical systems.
So Jeff Grenier provided an estimate to take care of what was uncovered in the inspection, the uncovered sockets and other safety violations, and it was $1,200. I forwarded that to Matt, and he said it wouldn't be a problem to find funding for that. That was right. That was literally the day they declared the emergency that we had that conversation. So it's kind of obviously moved to the back burner now. But yeah, they said that he said it wouldn't be hard. It wouldn't be any trouble to get the money for that without us having to pay for it out of our private accounts.
Okay. So we're good with that. We don't need to vote or do anything with that.
Do we?
We're good?
It would probably good
Do
to
we
vote
need
to
to,
approve the work to be done.
Okay, and to for the town to pay for it, or for the to ask for funds from the FinCom, or what?
I don't know yet. Matt said that since it was just $1,200, it wasn't enough to really ring any alarm bells or raise any concerns about getting funded. He wasn't specific on how we would pay for it. He just said we could.
Okay.
Okay, could I make a motion to approve the $1,200 estimate for fixing the electrical system to be paid for with town funds, not the private funds of the library?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second. Oh.
Any other discussion or questions? I'm losing the screen. Hopefully, am I still there?
Yeah, I lost it too.
We can hear you.
Yeah.
All right.
If you click on your mouse, it'll come back.
I did. I moved my mouse. Okay, my laptop is giving me such a hard time in here. I'm in a spot where I'm not usually, but it shouldn't make a difference. Anyhow,
I
all
worry
right.
about bandwidth. No one's talking about bandwidth, but now that you've got everyone zooming each other across, I mean, our infrastructure is not built for this.
I know.
That's one of the reasons I went with a call-in solution instead of a Zoom.
The thing that said, well, first of all, I don't want to be on screen. But there was also a thing that went out saying that there could only be one meeting at a time.
Well, that's if you're using the town's Zoom. The town has their own platform that we could use, but I mean, I didn't think it was necessary to jump on that. Plus, they're just now getting it set up and tested and debugged so that they can still have Board of Selectmen meetings and things like that remotely. They're surprised we're even having a meeting. So, as long as we could all get together and have it recorded and have public access, then we're good. And since we didn't need video, then we didn't have to go through that.
All right. Okay. So getting back to the electrical systems, Ellie, there was a motion on the floor. And we seconded. Did we? I don't think we voted on it. Did we?
No.
Okay.
No.
All those in favor of
Go for it.
what Ellie moved? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, so moved. We need to get that fixed, however. And then moving to the hot water heater. That doesn't sound promising.
Well, no, I just never heard back from Socia, so the next step would be to reach out to Osterman. I don't know if I should do that now or wait until a less chaotic time.
I would wait. I would wait.
I think a lot of those companies are stressed out right now, trying to take care of customers. All right, so moving on to other.
So in the budget request I submitted, that we all approved and submitted, and there's been no movement on next year's budget yet. I did just, briefly talked with Jean about how this might affect things, and she says it's not going to have any significant effect probably on the FY21 budget, but, it may in FY22 is, next year's the incoming taxes are altered. But yeah, so anyway, there was a $1,000 line item I put in that request to get our hyperheat inverters, serviced and maintained. They're expensive, and doing preventative maintenance to keep them from, bad things from happening, I think is good. And I got the estimate from Renaud HVAC and Controls, who is, Adam uses them for all the town things, and they quoted $2,750 to service them. And I don't think, I think it's fine to still use operations money for that, because our budget is pretty flexible. Because we can always just spend less on circulating materials and then augment that with, grants, donations. Because, we already spend a lot on circulating materials out of Moan and everything a year. So we're always well over our minimum circulation expenditure requirement.
Right.
Did they recommend doing maintenance on it every year?
That's what Adam recommends.
Okay.
So is this coming out of our budget, or are you saying that we're putting it into our budget for next year?
Well, I put in $1,000 of it for our budget next year, but the quote is $2,750, so it's almost 3 times what I put in the line item for, because I was just kind of guessing. But I think the budget can sustain it. I think that it would be prudent to do, and it'll just cost more than we expected.
Right, but what is included in that?
So are we using...
I'm sorry, Ellie, you broke up.
That's because Danielle was asking a question. I was wondering if we're not using any of our private funds to pay for this, because I'm still really worried about the building thing if that ever happens, and I want to. And you had said a couple of meetings ago, I think, that when you were preparing your budget, that you were going to have the town pay for the fixing things from now on, and instead of us paying for it out of our special funds. So
yeah, this won't be coming from special funds. It would be coming just from our operations, because it's a line item in our operational budget.
Okay.
But
So
it's since it's a big expense, I thought that
27.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just thought it would be good to let you all know, since it's a big expense. It's
Right.
we don't usually have these big repair maintenance expenses coming out of our operational budget. But the goal is to start having them come either out of our operational budget or some other town funding vehicle. So we're not paying for it out of special accounts, but it's just going to be a big thing coming out of a basically a new line item.
Well, you're more familiar with the budget. Do we have that wiggle room in operation?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
In this year or next year?
Next year. Sometime after June 1st or July 1st is when we will do this. And then it would become just a recurring yearly expense.
But the town pays for every other building's repair and maintenance of their heating.
Yeah, they do. Most departments have it baked into their operational budget, though. There's line items for repairs and maintenance, other property-related expenses, and we historically haven't used those line items because we've always covered them out of private money. And you asked what that included. It includes...
I guess.
I'm sorry, Ellie?
I just want to make sure that I'm understanding that this $2,750 is not from this year's budget, operations budget. It will be from next year's operation budget, for which you've only put in $1,000. So the $1,750 that remains is going to also come out of your operating budget?
Yeah, we just won't spend as much on
That's what you
books.
want to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you encumber this year's $1,000 so that you can use it next year? Encumber this year's operational $1,000.
We don't have that line item in this year's budget, and this won't be happening until next year. So we can't encumber.
You can't. I don't think we can do that anyhow.
Yeah, that's
Can we?
the only way you can
Yeah, you
encumber
can.
something
You can.
is if there's an. I'm sorry, the only way you can encumber something is if you place an order for a service expecting it to happen this fiscal year, and then it doesn't happen until next fiscal year due to unforeseen circumstances, then you can encumber the expense.
Yeah, you can't encumber an expense for a contract that's going to start July 1st.
Yeah, otherwise we could just encumber, $10,000 every year, and then $20,000 the following year, and then $30,000 the following year, and then build a new building in 10 years.
Good idea.
But yeah, this includes oiling and greasing all the motors and fan bearings, oiling and lubricating the damper linkages, replacing and adjusting the fan belts, cleaning the condenser coils, evaporator coils, and condensate drains, testing and checking operating refrigerant pressures on split systems, adjusting the superheat settings as required, checking voltages and amperages of motors and compressors, proper control sequencing, electrical connections, rotation, contactors, and starters, and checking the overall operating performance of all the cooling systems, calibration of pneumatic temperature controls, refrigeration controls, pressure controls, and operating controls, and changing all the media filters. Okay.
And so I hear that the belts will be included because that can be something that's regular wear and tear. And how often do they do that?
Annually.
Annually, okay. All right. Is there any...
Unless we decide to skip a year, and then they wouldn't do it that year.
Right. Is there any type of... So say they do they go over it and they find that something needs to be replaced. Do we get any type of a discount on that because we're part of this plan?
It's not a plan. It's just a one-odd-time contract, which would need to be, coming out every year, because it's basically just, calling and saying, hey, come take a look at all of our stuff and make sure it's in proper working order, and fix all the. It's like servicing your car.
All right. So you say they would do it once a year. So say there's something comes up that something's just not working right. It's too hot or too cold or whatever. So can you call them without a charge to come out and...
Well, if they discover, like a flaw, an actual mechanical flaw that's not something that's just, a preventative maintenance issue, then I would call the installers who installed this, as long as these are under warranty, and have them come fix it.
All right, so it's not the same. This is a different company than the ones who installed it?
Yeah, the people who installed it don't do routine maintenance work. They just do installation.
Okay. All right. Okay, I got it. Well, if that's what it is, that's what we have to do. And you say that there's room in that line item, so we should be fine with that.
I mean, our budget is generous, so I always work from the total amount backwards.
Right.
So I mean, if we have to spend more on something, it's easy to spend less on something somewhere else.
Mhm. I understand. Totally. Are we good with that? We're ready to move on? There we go again. Moving on to grants.
There's really no movement to report. I made a really cool thermometer on the inside of the building out of books on the alcove above the foyer. Been deep clean. I don't think that thing had ever been cleaned. I filled up 4 vacuum cleaner bags of like hard packed dust. I found old balloons from like the home festival thing, which I mean that was in like the 1910s, and yeah, so it was an adventure. And then I had a horrible hacking cough for a week, which was an inopportune time for that.
Oh no!
I
God
brought
knows what's up there.
I brought the sign inside, the building goal sign that I made, but I didn't want to destroy it because it was a lot of work to make. So that's why one of the signs out front right now is done with a dry erase marker instead of the magnetic letters, because that board is not magnetic. But yeah, we're 18.9% on our way to our goal, and
hey,
at the end of the year we can allocate more grant money and donation money if we don't need it for anything else, and then we'd be even closer to the goal.
Right. Yeah, I think everybody's been dealt a huge blow with what's happening now, and I think we were just starting to build the momentum.
We were just building momentum, and then this happened.
So hopefully we can recapture that once things open up again. I think and that kind of goes to what you were saying about not spending money on books now and spending it more on either audio or ebooks. If we're able to do that and offer things to people online, I think they're going to see the importance of the library.
Oh yeah, I meant to ask during my director's report, but I forgot to. So we can come back to that under new business, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so moving on to Friends. Ellie?
I'll report on Friends. I did give Justin the $400 that I had received before everything got shut down that was earmarked for the building. So that we stayed 6 feet away, and he took the check and deposited it, hopefully with Gene.
Yep, I turned it over that afternoon.
One of I think right, and one of the donations was gotten by way of Kate. So thank you, Kate, for reaching out and getting that nice donation.
Oh, right. That seems like so long ago now.
Is it something you can share?
Yeah, but it was just before everything happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I can't remember exactly how much it was, but it was either $150 or $250.
I know, I forget too, but yeah, I can always count on my mom to pitch in for anything very related.
Okay.
She's a big library supporter. Too bad she's not a billionaire, but then we'd be able to.
I know. Well, that's great.
And I don't know if there's any Friends money that came in. Did the Friends ever get any mail anymore?
Or let me check. I'll be right back. You have one envelope.
Oh, good.
Do you want me to drop it off at your house?
Sure.
God, just open it.
Well, she's the one who has to deposit the checks and the cash and all that anyway, so there's not anything I can do with it.
And I write thank you notes on the computer too, so, or by hand if I don't have an email.
All right. Thank you to the Friends for helping to keep us afloat.
Yay, Friends. Stay alive.
All right. Other old business. Magazine shelf end caps.
Oh, yeah. The last meeting we discussed those because Blackstone Library gave me 2. And if I had 2 more, I could mount them on the ends of our shelf ranges in the main stacks and put magazines there instead of having that big thing in front of the circulation desk, which kind of hides one of the circulation librarians. Ellie had expressed interest in the Friends covering that expense. It's $307.97. I just thought that maybe if the trustees approved the money to buy them now out of grants, and then we had the Friends reimburse the trustees for it later, now would just be a really good time to install them since there's nothing else happening in the building right now.
Really? I don't know, Justin. I can just picture you taking those ukuleles off the wall and playing them every now and then.
I tried to get as many of them out during that frantic last 12 hours that we were open.
Really?
I managed to get all the e-readers out and most of the ukuleles.
Oh, good. All right, so I will entertain a motion to approve $307.97 out of grants to be possibly reimbursed by the Friends. All right, second?
Second.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Can I ask a question? Wait. Can I ask a question?
No.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I want to know what I need. There's a delay on my phone, so you come in much later. I need to know what grant that I can reimburse with the Friends money, because a lot of times Jean axes what. So I think you got to check on that first. We can prove it with the stipulation that we can figure out a way to do it.
Okay.
Okay, the better thing to do then actually might be to just approve it out of regular donations, because then the Friends could donate the money to replace the regular donations that were spent. Because if we try to do it out of grants, then Ellie's right. That will be problematic because Jean won't let us put donation money in the grants to repopulate it. My mind just went to grant because that's where we have the most disposable income. But donations would be better.
Okay, so let's amend the motion. The motion on the floor right now is to take money from grants, but to amend the motion to be to take money from what?
Regular donations.
Regular donations. With the thought of having the Friends reimburse that money. So do we need to go through A motion? Do we have a motion to accept that amendment?
So moved.
Second?
No, second.
Okay. Well, any further discussion? Ellie, are you good?
I'm good.
All right. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Do we have any new business at this time?
I guess
Yeah,
this
I
could
do.
be. Oh, let Ellie go first.
Okay. Betty and I had heard that that at our last book group meeting that you were going to put up a sign, which I'm assuming you did because I saw a sign in the parking lot when you showed your video on Facebook. But we were told that there's a black SUV, which I think belongs to Joe at the pizza joint, that always parks in that spot. And is there a way? How have you resolved all of this, or shared it with us too?
Okay, so we did have a number of patrons complaining about Joe parking where he normally parks, because the big black SUV is his, and he typically parks right outside the back of the emergency door.
Mm-hmm.
And we had some patrons go encounter him about it at the pizza shop, and their encounter was, shall we say, not very pleasant or productive, and led to kind of a lot of animosity, not towards us, but towards that patron who has continued to kind of go into the pizza shop and confront Joe about this. And his response is just that he's not doing anything illegal. There's nothing preventing him from parking there. So he is. Then after these conversations with the patron, I think it kind of became like a battle of wills, where even if he saw the merit in parking elsewhere, it basically got his dander up. So I did go ahead and, just out of our regular operational budget, with no private money or what have you, spent $126.70 on signs to put in the back of the parking lot. That there are two signs that are on the library side of the parking lot that say, this side of the lot is reserved for library patrons when the library is open, and if you're not a library patron and the library is open, please park on the other side. Since then, he's been parking on the other side. No one's had a problem, and we haven't talked about it. I've bought food from him quite a few times in the last 3 weeks, and he's just as he's just as happy with us as he's always been. It's just like until there was a sign there, he wasn't going to move. But now there is a sign, then he's moved.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, Justin, have you been able to ask him to park not on that library side and to park on the other, the far side of the parking spaces, not the ones adjacent to the library? That video that you had put up on receiving that bottle of the other night, it showed an SUV, a big black SUV.
Yeah, the sign just specifies when we're open.
The bait.
So if we're
and the library's not open.
Yeah, the library wasn't open. That video was taken in the middle of the night. Because if we're not open, I don't care who parks there. But, the
Right.
point made by patrons is valid in that, if you have someone coming to the library who has, a disability, a hard time getting around, you want them to be able to park in the closest spot possible.
Well, as a trustee, I'm just concerned that he's taking advantage of us, and so I'll just support not having him park on the library side, to park on the other side when the library's open. But I don't know if he's doing that or not. So
He has been.
So I don't know.
He has been.
Okay.
In fact, I've thought about telling him, as long as the library's not open at all to the public, feel free to park there. But then I decided not to do that, because
Right.
now he's parking under the tree, which is equal distance for him to walk to get into the pizza shop, and frees up our lot. So
Yeah,
it made everybody happy. Everybody seems happy.
that's good. We all want to be happy. Right. Any other new business? Hearing none, I'll hear a motion to adjourn.
I thought Justin had one.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I'm
sorry.
I'm really scatterbrained right now, and it's one of those things I'm not even sure if it'll be necessary or not. But at the moment, I'm not buying any books because I can't circulate them. I put a hold on our incoming deliveries from Baker and Taylor. So what we have on back order, I will need to evaluate that as we get closer to potentially reopening. But it doesn't look like we're going to be circulating books for at least until May the 4th, and that's just what the guess is right now. But Carrie, my wife, works in epidemiology, and she thinks this is going to last a lot longer than that. So we're going to be bumping up on the end of the fiscal year without before the dust settles from all this. So I've been transferring all the money that I would normally spend on books on ebooks instead. I just want to make sure that no one has a problem with that. And I would also like to ask that since we just got like the library incentive grant disbursement of $6,028.55, if the trustees would approve for me to spend up to $2,500 of that just to augment the holds, queues, and overdrive. Since we're not, basically the best thing we can do right now is to keep people at home and reading. So
Right, I agree.
And I'm not even sure I'm going to need that because the consortium is pitching in. But between now and the next time we have a meeting, if like the holds queues just get really out of control, if I have some extra money to throw at them, then it might be beneficial.
But you are going to save some money for books in the month of June.
Yeah, we'll still have plenty left in our operational budget because we'll use our operational budget the same way I would normally use it. So, I'm not going to spend our entire operational budget for circulating materials right now. I'm going to reserve it, and sort of meet it out as we get closer to the end of the fiscal year. But, I know we're not going to be open for circulating until May the 4th. So I could spend more towards electronic stuff until then, and then if we kicked in extra from grants, then it would just keep circulation going quicker.
I agree. As one who,
I think Ellie's trying to say something, but the delay keeps.
Okay. Go ahead.
what is your hold queue right now on the ebooks and e-audios?
Oh, let's see. Canopy, I can't tell you what they are on video because that just cuts people off at $5 a month. It's always available. People can borrow it. But if I go into Overdrive Marketplace, Administration, Insights, Current Holds, right now I've got 120 people waiting for ebooks, 112 people waiting for audiobooks. So there's a total of 232 unfilled holds in Overdrive at the moment.
Wow.
That's normally I have about 170. So that's not twice as much. It's like 1/3 as much, like 1.25 more than usual.
Yeah. That's a good amount. I'm all for it.
Me too.
As one who waits in those queues.
Yep. Makes perfect sense.
Did you watch my video on how to use the other consortiums, Danielle?
No, I didn't.
On Facebook?
No.
I did. I had known about it, but I kind of forgot, and I logged into all of them and requested a couple things yesterday. Thanks for the reminder.
Yeah, we're trying to make it automatic,
Well,
and there's actually a plan to make it automatic, but it's not going to be, that's not going to materialize until probably June at the earliest, by which point, no one's going to care anymore.
I have a library card with the Truro library, so that gives me access to the clams catalog.
Yeah, well, you can access the clams catalog with your CW Mars card. You don't even have to use that card. Once you log in with CW Mars into Overdrive.
I found that out after I went on there and realized that I could just click on any of them, really.
It takes a little bit of a setup because you have to enter your library card and your password into each individual consortium, and you can't do a unified search yet. You have to search each one individually, but it has saved me a lot of waiting times in queues.
Interesting.
Just to go see, like the audio book that I want is, a 5-week wait in CW Mars, but, somebody bought it in Clams or Noble or Minuteman, and it's just sitting there to be grabbed. You just got to go get it.
Right. That's it. Right. Right.
But that's probably beyond the majority of our users' patience and tolerance for dealing with the software, but for like the power users, it's a godsend because you just get access to so much more stuff.
I do that in a heartbeat. Okay, so is there I don't think there's a motion on the floor right now, right?
Well, no one's made any motions yet.
Right. Do we need to vote on this? We should probably. I will entertain a motion to. Go ahead, Ellie.
I said I don't think we need a motion. I think it's under Justin's discretion how he spends the book budget. He's just asking for
I agree.
support, I think, for it.
Yeah, I'm just asking for an extra $2,000 from grants to augment if necessary.
Okay. Sounds good to me.
Me too.
All right. I think that was it. Anything else? All right. I will. And our next meeting is scheduled for. I lost my papers. April 28th, I think. Which we'll obviously be doing this way again.
Yep.
So I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Do we want to change the time for that again to 4 o'clock or?
Yes, 4 is good for me.
I like it.
Okay.
I like it too.
All right. So next meeting will be April 28th. I don't have my calendar on the right page. At 4 p.m. All right. Entertaining a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
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 We're done. We're done.
All right. You can
We're
stand up
done.
and sit down if you want.
Right.